So let's mosey. So what we're going to do now, okay, what we're going to do now is something slightly the same but different. We're going to attempt a novel group technique, NGT. Sorry. And you'll find out what that is now. You probably know about different names.
The ABC about the NGT.
And then you'll have the XYZ before you GOHOME. Okay, so, but the first thing I want to do is I want to kind of group these and bring them into a theme. So each of these, some of them will overlap, that's great, but I want to kind of pick up maybe 4 or 5, 6, there's potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 themes, maybe there's only 3 themes, but pick the themes of what we've been speaking about. And then what we'll do is we'll start solving the theme, rather than the individual card. Because it makes no sense to solve an individual card because there's a whole context behind which the card sits, if that makes sense. Okay, you're comfortable with that? Alright, so this, let me just kind of tell you what this is, and do we put it together, do we do it separately? This is about the pre-engagement of the why the person is on the course, why am I there, with pre-assessment is linked into this, how do you assess them prior to them arriving, and that we kind of link to the fact that management need to own the learning for their department, whether that be right or wrong, we can negotiate that. Like, should the learner, or should the manager, who should own it, okay? And this is about the objective. Whether it be the objective of the course or the objective for the learner to be there, or that word objective in the broader sense of the word objective. Okay, should we pull those together or should we keep those separate?
I think pull them together, but have the 2 streams of management objective, of business objective, and individual's objective. Pulling the 2 together.
For the NGT, if we'd rather keep them separate, let's keep them separate because we ideate. What we do is we solve each of them. And sometimes the solutions overlap and we pull the solutions together, but 2 streams become quite, what solution am I thinking of, if you're okay with that. Alright, so are we happy to keep them separate? So the first theme there would be pre-engagement as a theme, in which anything that happens prior to learning.
Darren, can I just ask something? Actually,
go ahead. Yeah.
Are we solving our issues now? Because what I've realized in the previous session, this is not only GIBS's problem.
No, it's all about
this is for all of us.
Yeah.
Or do we build a solution specifically for GIBS now?
What we're going to offer, we can't build GIBS' solution.
Okay.
Because no one from GIBS is here. So what we're saying to GIBS is, GIBS, here's the challenge you put out. You want to be this, we all want to be this. We're sitting here, good for us. But we're saying, GIBS, one of the key challenges in the experience of the people who engaged here, one of the key challenges was pre-engagement. And this is some of the ways you can solve pre-engagement. A second challenge was around the theme of management ownership.
Okay, so if you say pre-engagement, sorry.
Yes, please.
I need to understand where we go a little bit lost. So for example, if I think that the way GIBS are marketing themselves is wrong.
Perfect.
As the outsource, then it will fit into the pre-engagement.
Exactly. And you might say pre-engagement, we need to conduct pre-assessments on each learner so they don't attend the whole program, but they can learn non-linearly.
So GIBS start positioning yourself as an outsource provider.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't even have to position to GIBS. You can say this is what learning needs to do. Because GIBS, if you be careful, the caution is, if you position it to GIBS, you start thinking in terms of a learning institute. But maybe learning institutes are the problem.
Although, may I interject here, if we look at the question that we would ask the community, what would be the number and type of touch points you'd feel happy? That is universal, as I would say. So, may I be anal about semantics?
You can be anal about semantics.
Pre-engagement.
Yes.
Or what? Pre-learning engagement makes sense to me.
Because
pre-engagement is, sorry to say, because it could be pre-meeting engagement, pre-management engagement, pre-what engagement.
So you're solving the pre-engagement.
Yes, but being able about the word, it's not pre-engagement, it's pre-learning engagement.
Not necessarily.
Perhaps.
Because you don't know that is even a learning need. So you might engage with somebody to identify the learning need.
Or you might be trying to sell your business to a client in the pre-engagement, and when you say to them, you don't sell them a training course now, you sell them a process of learning. Pre-engagement.
So pre-engagement can mean quite a number of things.
It could be marketing.
But you are right, it depends on whose perspective you're on. That's why it's important that we understand what we mean by this.
But you see, this is the solution that you're going to solve now. So we want to keep the topic fairly broad, pre-engagement, and then when you solve, you bring out these specific points, and we're going to flip chart all those points in detail, and then there might be 40 points, 50 points. We'll then start narrowing it down to what this group would focus on as key. But we're still going to put all the points out to the entire COP that's going to engage post-engage. Does that make sense? So let's not limit it to pre-engagement learning. I feel you decide, because learning is not about coming to a learning intervention, what you so rightly said. Pre-engagement on a MOOC could be very different to pre-engagement with GIBS, to pre-engagement with an internal training department. The pre-engagement is vastly different, but there will definitely be overlaps. Sorry, be anal. I like being anal. So I'm going to call it pre-engagement for whatever it means to you. Because you're all, I love you guys.
Okay, you got a high five.
That's all. Yeah, GE.
Semantically, that could also be quite interesting.
No, but now okay, if I can make a suggestion, after COP, separate breakfast for people to engage around this discussion.
If it's a banting breakfast, I'll be there.
We need to get some banting restaurants in to sponsor those breakfasts. But seriously.
You have to do lunch because focaccia is still up.
Okay.
And papuchi has gone. Banting breakfast.
Okay, I'm going to move these across. So just so you know, in terms of the re-engagement, we're looking at things like what we wrote down in terms of our experiences with things like, why am I here? To waste my time. We don't have time to do the training course. My learners not linked to burning issues in the business. Assessment prior, like RPL, lack of engagement. That's what we discussed in the pre-engagement. Next one, we spoke about ownership. This is engaging with managers of learners, coaching, line manager owning the learning, environment supporting the change. What do you want to call that? Support. Environment. Learning support as a topic?
No. Learning is a process versus an event.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, learning is a process. I'm going to suggest it comes later down. So
somewhere here already.
Yeah.
Process and mastery.
Okay, I want to put this here.
Is that learning infrastructure maybe?
It's the whole. It's the whole architecture, the
Context.
the architecture, the blueprint, the
Context again, because context informs
The learning
platform,
context.
the objectives, the needs, the
Learning
everything.
context.
Learning context.
That's a nice one.
Okay,
Can you go through those
yes.
before we decide what it's going to
Okay,
call?
so we've got engaging managers and learners so that the managers know how to support the challenges. So after learning, you get your mentors, your self-driven learning, you get your coaching. This is their objective to revisit once I'm on the learning, is the objective for the attendee participating correct? To revisit after the next couple of months. It's the line manager, owns the learning for their businesses. It's on the WBS, MBA, all grads to do engagement. So it's very much coaching, mentorship, management, environment and support. That's what this is about, which is pretty much your context,
Yes.
the context in which we learn. And that's something that you bring up pretty often, on that context.
I'm contextually
Driven.
emphasizing and
Okay, so learning context.
Well, content managers out there, context is king.
True. And okay, here we've got motivation, having to do the whole course, making getting a certificate or getting some kind of a contingent reward. The facilitator manages the transition, part of my KPIs, fatigued and tired, lack of confidence, of reliance on the sage. Motivation is kind of where this is fitting, if you want to still call it that. Yeah, what do you think?
With all due respect, that sounds to me like an objective.
Yeah, like an objective.
Yes, the reason why.
The why.
Yeah, I know
The reason why, the objective.
The reason
is
why.
the objective a badge? Is it the certificate? Is it
The why for the learning.
Yes, the why. That's
Sorry to take a few steps back.
Please go ahead.
So I'm thinking that these first two, one
Yes.
and two, are actually part of the pre-engagement.
Yes.
It's just that one is focused on the learner, the other is focused on the relationship between the training space and the managers.
Okay.
So it could be pre-engagement for
And
learner
learning context.
and the learning context under pre-engagement.
Okay, and then the motivation would also be under
Absolutely.
under
The
pre-engagement. Because you're telling the learner why they're coming. They're trying to find the why
Yeah.
to be
So
here.
you will have pre-engagement and three other sub-levels on the
Okay. So just so you know, you're totally bastardizing my process. I have no idea what to do after this. And that's freaking awesome. That is powerful. So we're going to move these under.
Isn't it Simon Papers who said that learning is chaotic and it should be like that?
Freaking awesome.
Whoever said it, I agree.
Okay, so what I'm going to
chaotic
do
learning.
is I'm going to move this up, then.
So just highlight those three things that you just said.
On the pre-engagement
Yeah.
will be the learning context,
Context.
the learners themselves,
Yes.
then the why of the learning.
Okay. Engagement.
Right. Okay, let's start this side because I can.
Sorry, can I ask one thing?
You can ask two things if you like.
What's going to happen to all this information?
I have
And
no
I'm
idea.
going to type it up. Who's going to type it up? Are you?
And she's going to create a research paper out of it, and you all going to get access to the research paper. And I want my name on that paper, please. I want at the bottom.
So when you say a research paper, is it going to be a research paper in terms of how this happened, or the outcomes and solutions?
Is it a research paper or case study?
Darren just used the word research paper very, very loosely.
Like I do. You see, I use lots of things very loosely.
And then see how they end up.
So we'll write it up in a proper structured way in terms of the background to the problem statement. Okay?
The biggest
The
issue here
hypothesis.
is, are you taking our email addresses?
Yes, we've
And
got all
we'll
this stuff.
upload it on the site.
Okay, no.
So what we're going to post it
Go
on
on
CMP
the
site,
CMP.
come on it, and you can use it wherever you want to use it. Please feel free just to print it, give it out, hand it. It's okay.
And in fact, just so that you know, some people have commented as
Already.
well prior to the
Which we'll look at
which
now.
we've
Please look at those
actually-
now.
So just one last very nitty-gritty micro aspect. Will it carry Creative Commons
CPD
attribution?
points.
Yes.
What I'm also happy to do, Guna, and Robin just offered, if you leave me your email addresses, I'll mail it to you. You can contribute to the paper before we publish, and I'll give you recognitions code.
May I push the boundaries here?
You can always
Can't we right now establish a forum, an online forum? where we can
100%.
engage on this?
Can I say something?
It is there,
Yeah.
it's set.
Go
We will
ahead.
go, just do it.
Just do it, and we'll come find you.
Uh,
Why do we
But
have
it's
to
already
ask
there.
permission to learn?
It's already on our platform.
So there's already, this discussion is already on the platform. It's already there. People have already answered to it. Go engage.
And when GIBS thinks this is seriously cool,
Yep. Have no
we
idea.
have a lunch.
We
We can come back
So,
to this
Cornette,
again.
there's the camera. Just tell them what you want.
Fancy,
is a hostage
please,
to
it's
know.
got to be
Yeah.
low carb, high fat.
Because what we're going to do is Braden's going to pull this with the artwork into a video we're going to present it as well to you guys. You're all going to have access to it. So, okay. And I'm starting here because I can. Let's mosey on. Time is ticking. This says, okay, action learning assignments after development, interventions in a graduate development program, set up mini learnerships. This talks about varying levels of content and quality. This talks about leaving the POE to the learners, not driven by the e-facilitator, is negative because I said content does not equal application, which does not equal context.
Yes.
Okay, that would come to content design. Instructional design. Are you happy? There's got a lot that's going to come under this instructional design.
This goes beyond, this is exactly what you say, it's beyond content.
What is
So,
it?
Yes.
What is
It's- But instructional systems design, it's ISD.
Okay,
Which
just call
means
it-
it's the system plus the content plus the activities, it's the whole. Plus, there's another thing that I'm trying to add, really ecologies.
Really?
Ecologies.
Ecologies. Okay, let's use words that we all understand.
We will just
Because-
put that in the research paper to impress people.
Exactly. And we'll take it out the thing. Okay. Would you be comfortable to call it learning systems, instructional systems design, where we bring in the content, the system in which the content sits, the how of the content falls under, and a lot of us will fall under that, where we really look at the way we design instruction, or no, that's not what you do.
If you're looking
What
at
if we call it a learning design and delivery system?
But isn't that what instructional design, the actual definition?
Well, we're speaking
not-
English, yeah.
I'm not talking
Unfortunately,
about just
you get
content
words.
course creation.
I'm just afraid if you use that word, and I'm not disagreeing with you, that people forget that you're not only talking about content,
The learning
you're
manual.
also talking about the delivery method of the content.
So would it stand to
Content.
reason if one then referred to it as ISD, instructional systems design?
That sounds makes sense.
Okay, Are we all comfortable?
And that you
with
can see in Wikipedia, there is an ISD.
Okay.
So because then it talks to the whole
That
thing.
you after you're talking about the design, taking the science into account, and I like the system because the system is integrated.
The progression of the learning, the scaffolding of the learning, the activities, the environment, what happens post-learning, how we bring in reflective learning as
Okay, so the question then is, here we have learning as a process, not as an event. Here we have instructional systems design.
So how?
So they're two different things.
But
No, it doesn't matter what, don't worry about the order.
But once you've got the one,
You move into the other.
move into the other.
it's not two separate entities. That's a philosophy, and that is a system.
So what do you solve? So you solve philosophy to get to the system, maybe?
No.
I'm going to keep it separate
Yes,
for now. Because perhaps.
You clarify the philosophy. What is your approach? Because if part of your approach there in your learning process is connectivism or collaborative learning,
Okay.
it's the philosophy that you use,
Okay.
and that will inform your instructional systems design.
Okay, so let's do this. If you guys are happy with this, I'm going to suggest, I'm going to keep the two separate. So what we're going to do after this, after we've got these things, we're going to break for a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to explain. So we're going to break for a couple of minutes. We're going to sit on our own, no talking. And we're going to take this, and you're going to solve this in as many ways, point form, as you can think. No matter how stupid or creative or out there or build the USS Enterprise. Fine, write it down. We're going to solve it in as many. Then we're going to do this the same for each of these. We're going to flip chart your answers in order. So we're going to, and we're not going to judge the answers. We're going to go number one, and we all go. And if someone's copied yours, you cross it out. If they haven't copied yours, you put it up. No judging, no laughing, no mocking, nothing. No discussion around the points unless you have a little bit of understanding around it. Once we have a list of those points, we put the flip charts up, and you're going to go around and you're going to select your top 5, 3 to 5 perfect chart. Those are the 2 top solutions for that. Those are the 3 top solutions for that. Not negating the others, but saying what you like. They might be yours, they might not be yours. From that, we're going to look at those points, and then we're going to discuss them further to come up with, can these be processed, can these be processed, can these just be discussed? That's what's going to happen now. That's why I want to make sure that we get the topics right, because then when we present to GIBS and what you take with you to your clients is, hey guys, under pre-learning, there are 3 topics, and these are the top 5 solutions per topic that we have. We post it online, we get the discussion happening online, people agreeing, disagreeing.
Okay, I'm moving up here. May I speak, please?
I don't know, you may. Yes.
May I add to what you're saying?
If you want to.
May I position that this is the underlying, it's the fundamental context of everything, because if you decide whether your learning takes on a connectivist model or a constructivist model, it informs everything from the beginning right
so
to the end.
you can do it in your solutions if you want to. If you don't want to do it,
I thought it's part of
no, you will solve it the way you think the best solution is going to fit.
Oh, okay.
So rather than trying to all agree or disagree with each other, you write down how you're going to solve what orders you think of. That's entirely up to you individually. Because let's face it, we've all got experience in learning.
Okay.
So where you think that's not going to work, fantastic. We want that. And when we start seeing the discussions come out, we start seeing quite a wealth of, geez, I didn't think about that. Yes, that's amazing. Oh, I didn't word it so well. And so we come together with some really good points. Okay, so let's mosey on quickly. This is the philosophy. If you're happy with the concept of the word philosophy. Principles.
Yeah, principles, underlying approach. Sorry,
Okay.
that's just a suggestion.
Please make sure you kept saying because I didn't write it down. And then this is the instructional systems design. This is the actual practical. This is the prac. The how to. It's the Twitters and the Facebooks and this. Okay, cool. Here we have things like building feedback into future revisions, reflective technologies, online communities, kind of lone voices, my own voice sphere, surveys post-learning. This is what people currently do post. What are the touch points? So these would be the touch points. Gee, that worked pretty well. You guys are wrong. Okay, so the first question says, what would the number one, or what are the type of touch points that people feel happy in terms of follow-up? Well, these themes are the touch points. And then 2, what would sustain the learning post a training program for maximum learning retention application? That's what we're trying to achieve here. This is all about social media. That's what I'm seeing here. So maybe this is a feedback theme. So we're not saying how to feedback, we're saying feedback.
No, agreed.
Sure.
So it's, those are methodologies, those are
Yeah,
different
problems.
ways of achieving your objective.
Well, pretty much. Well, it's post, so it's much, yes, and it's probably might be bigger than that.
Yeah.
So this is about.
If you have a problem and you either want somebody to become involved with your thinking or to do what we're doing now, it's a how to.
Brilliant. I love it. So the how to, maybe call it the how to rather than feedback, or the how to feedback. I'm not sure what it says. Call that go.
That's a subset of instructional systems design.
Perhaps, and maybe it's not.
Oh, okay, so it's
again,
not going there.
So you're becoming there. You're solving it.
Oh.
We're coming there. We're just trying to get the themes, the touch points, because instructional design is a touch point in the entire process. It's not the only point. It's a touch point. And within this touch point, we have, wherever it sits, however it looks. So if you had to put this into a hierarchy, maybe this is the top of the hierarchy. Don't know. Don't really care at the moment. Just trying to get the, because again, we're trying to solve what we don't really know what the concepts are that we're trying to solve. So this is where I came up with the word feedback as a theme to achieve sustained learning progress. And maybe we think we feedback because we send emails, but maybe emails aren't so effective. That's the only reason why I use the word feedback.
I was just wondering if we use the word post, because I was in my head trying to understand the question in terms of the touch points after the learning, and we are designing the whole learning here.
Well, let's read it. What would be the number and type of touch points that you would feel happy that delegates were followed up with?
It could be during the learning process.
It could be pre the learning process. Because if you submit your payment, I follow up with you. There's a touch point pre.
Okay.
May I just connect there, because it says follow-up is defined as the level of follow-up offered by the school after participants returned to the workplace.
And networking opportunities with fellow participants.
And my argument is, how accurate are you going to follow up if you haven't done pre-engagement?
And what if the sorry.
And I think there are a couple of things there. So maybe that's why we're struggling with finding a name. Because there we have the activities that will take place post-learning.
Correct.
Which includes probably collaboration.
Okay, good.
Maybe performance supports.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe some level of practice. So we can call it transfer of learning.
Transfer
Transfer of learning. Lovely.
Learning transfer.
Learning transfer? Are we happy with that?
No, it's not a learning transfer. It's a continuous.
So it's almost feedback on learning transfer.
Yeah, so it's almost a continuum because it's continuously learning and feeding back and learning and feeding back and learning. So I don't see it as a
transfer of learning.
Transfer of learning as an entirety. I see it more than that, bigger than that.
Would you be comfortable for now to go, it's the feedback of transfer and learning? No. I like it.
May I pose a question?
Yeah, go.
When does learning happen?
Pre, during, and post.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you take action all the
When
time.
learning
Action is one step.
So the follow-up, it's learning transfer, because those are the mechanisms and the touch points that you use, because learning isn't a singular event, it's a process.
Follow-up, so it's learning follow-up.
So follow-up, it's learning transfer. You do follow-up in order to deepen the learning transfer or to ensure that the transfer is happening.
Go for it.
I like what Katusha referred to earlier was the reflective aspect.
Yes.
So,
Reflective techniques.
Yes, so reflective is, for me, feedback is how was your training? I just have
I agree.
Yes,
I agree. Tick, you've got a 5, 4, 3, 2,
Yes,
1.
yeah.
But reflective means that for something to be reflective, there needs to be two ends.
Do you want to call it ROI, return on investment, as a topic? Because, and let me position my thinking around it. Return on investment is not, I like the course and learning gain. Return on investment is behavior change. It's impact of behavior change and it's value of behavior change, whatever value to the company means. So it's not just rands and cents. So the reality is,
It's so 1980s.
what do you call it now? What do you call it now?
Return on learning.
Return on learning. Yeah, I see companies talk, again, no, that's
I
fine.
think ROI is
ROE, return on value,
I think ROI is seen much more of a business or a corporate
Yes.
trying to find out if
Was
there is
valuable.
value for money.
Yes.
it's not very often seen from the learner to objectify what they've got out of it.
Until they go for an interview and go, hey guys, I did this course and here's a return report for you on the course. Maybe the problem with learning is we're too divorced from business and we don't talk enough about business learning.
Let's vote on it, because otherwise...
Okay, well, yeah, we need to continue. We need to find a word. Or something, not a word, a theme. So learning transfer is coming through quite a lot. But there is a disagreement on learning transfer. What did you feel? What were you feeling more?
I think that it's on a continuum. So when you say transfer of learning, I don't know what that means.
A continuum of learning?
Down, there has a sort of top-down sort of feel.
It's almost like a point in time.
And continuum? Call it continuum of learning?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, but all these other ones are continuum.
Yes, but what we're saying, it becomes a touch point. So this is a touch point. Continuum of learning is a touch point, and what you will do in your solution is go to ensure continuum of learning. We have to. So you'd bring your solution around the continuum of learning, which then might bring in the fact of reflection is a continuum of learning. How often does it happen? When these are solutions, maybe rather than transfer of learning.
I think I'll go with that.
Continuum.
Because continuum of learning will mean different things to different people.
Are we happy with that as a group?
Learning continues.
Does anyone disagree?
It's a process that continues.
Sorry about the short time. This is really, we need this. We need to discuss more.
Time flies in great company.
It does, no wonder it's going to come. Okay, so we'll call the touch point continuum of learning. See, for me, what I'm really getting out of this is, I'll tell you later. Okay, because it's not my business, but...
no, you have to close the loop.
Well, I'll close it later and keep you intrigued. No, for me, what I'm getting out of this is I'm already personally getting a lot of value in terms of when I approach clients. Hey guys, this is a process that's taking place, and here are touch points that people are absolutely going to be touched. So don't just buy the training course, you're wasting your time. Here are the touch points where people get to where you want to start.
You could look at it as an integrated model, which many people don't.
And now we can prove it,
yes,
because we've had great minds to do it.
Well, the interesting fact is that research has proven that training solves less than 18% of workplace issues.
8%. It's down to 8 now.
8 now.
Mm-hmm. So for every rand that your company spent last year, or the companies you work for, they spent in training, 90 cents of that rand was a waste of money. Only 10 cents was valuable.
Where does that come from?
ASTD, the ATD now, American Society, research through 114 countries. It's the research that comes to account. The Fortune 500 top companies?
Google, Burson and Associates.
Yeah, Deloitte and Burson. Okay, with the so this is platforms, content, where the content sits, creating practical online learning pathways, informal learning, learning styles, Regio approach until discussion ends.
I don't know what the Regio approach is.
You bring a topic to discuss, and you discuss it until everyone starts discussing it.
And then what happens then?
Well, what's happening now? When the discussion stops, we stop, we move on. Problem solved.
Does it solve itself, or does it come to a solution, or does it? I don't understand.
It does solve itself, but it might not.
Oh, okay.
So there might be a point where we continue to discuss all of this and continue, but there is learning. So you don't have a definite yes, but you have facilitated learning. You don't have a it is purple is the outcome. You will have a learning process that is enabled learning, but the outcome might not be determined at the end of a session.
Is that not, I mean, I come from an environment where that all happens all the time without purpose. So it's not that Regio model, but it happens all the time. Is it just called the Regio model?
It is. It's a model that they use in schools.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that it's if you go and look onto the schools platform, you'll see that the Regio approach is followed in South Africa. It's actually been brought into South Africa, and it's a nice style. So why I typed in was that if people engaged, and I'm not solving, I'm just saying why I brought it in was if I came to training with a specific need up front, and I would be better engaged if I knew that as I was engaging and touching, I was actually solving that problem which I came to the training for in the first place. So I might not have the brilliant solution, I might still make the mistake at the end, but I've actually engaged in learning ongoing. So I haven't been disengaged in the learning process at any point, because I really have this very individual and selfish need to solve my own problem.
And from a constructive perspective, constructivist learning perspective, what you're doing is you're actually learning about learning. So you're creating metacognition, metacognitive processes. What happened in my thinking about my thinking when I was learning and when I wasn't learning, which touches on Socratic questioning.
Okay, so and all of that, please make sure that she gets it when you write it up somewhere. Okay, so what I'm hearing you guys talking here is for me is sitting down with a target. I'm seeing the word target population. Maybe the word is wrong, but I'm seeing this is starting to understand. See here, the learner's understanding the program, why we're here, what we're about, the why, the management. This is about the people who are offering the learning, where however it happens, it's about the person who is learning and their way they learn. So that's why I'm just seeing in my mind this word target population kind of flying around. Because we're looking at things like learning styles. Currently we don't develop for learning styles. The Reggio approach, I learn until I've had enough and I leave. And there's so much research. There's a guy called Ricardo Semler.
I think that happens a lot with the MOOCs. I don't know if you've done a MOOC. I haven't done a MOOC to finish it. I've done a MOOC to do just-in-time learning that I need.
Exactly. So maybe this could become just-in-time learning rather than target population in terms of a topic. So things like informal learning. So this came up in our discussion going, I'm learning all the time in business. I'm continually learning. I go surfing. I'm learning. But no one takes that into account when I go into a training program.
I see it as empowered learning. Because I'm learning, and exactly what you're saying, it's empowering me to solve my own solutions during the period of time. Even if I'm not solving the solution that came in, it doesn't matter.
I'm comfortable with that as a topic. Self-empowered learning.
Because that's exactly what the Reggio approach means to me.
It's taking ownership of your own learning.
Exactly.
So this is so we said
it's making it applicable to me.
Yes.
At the time I need it.
Which is individual. There's an individual or self-worth.
Self-empowered learning.
So can we say self-empowered learning as a touch point?
Self-driven.
I like the word empowered rather. Because empowered is not so driven. It's my power rather than you got to tell me as my manager to drive.
Are we substituting it with continuum?
No. Separate. So I'm gonna write this word because no one's really objecting.
Well, it says, what was your suggestion for us?
Self-empowered.
Driven. So driven means I can go and sit. I'm driven to go and study these 30 pages today. That's my drive. Whereas empowered says, I'm doing it when I'm opening my eyes and when I'm starting to converse. I'm actually
and I want to.
Can't wait
It's
to do
because
it.
I want to. I'm individualizing that learning for my purpose.
And also I learn where I want to learn.
And how I want to.
Exactly. I go online, I do a MOOC, I come to Tracy, I go to GIBS. But at the end of the day, okay, cool. I'm not going to learn to the end of the day now. Right, so these are the touch points that I'm seeing with your brilliant minds. There is a pre-engagement touch point, which is about the learner, the learning context, and the why. The why, which is links down to the motivation. Those are the three kind of areas. Then we have, not in any particular order, self-empowered. I've written driven, but self-empowered learning. The continuum of learning. The learning as a process, not an event. Philosophy and principles. And then instructional design, instructional system design. Okay. Now. Okay. Do you want a paper? Do you want to have a piece of paper or two pieces of paper? Or write on the card. Okay. Now, we are short on time to do all of this. So, what I recommend is, and I do want to keep this a little bit structured. Sorry, I don't need to be controlling. I hate controlling. But just because we're short on time, maybe we should pick one or two streams for now. One or two solutions, touch points for now, and let's just link back to those rather than, because we've only got another 35 minutes. And there's a lot of discussion that needs to happen around it, so we can't really go into full detail around it. Would you all be comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Rather than trying to cover everything.
Yeah.
Because it just, time is quite short. Okay, so silence is consent. I'm looking at my Twitter feed.
So when you say do just one or two,
yes.
Are we all just going to do one or two?
Yes, let's just all just...
But then are we not going to cover all the groups that we need?
No, we're not. We definitely won't get to all five, and GIBS can welcome to bring us back. Or we can continue the discussion online. We can post the rest online as we go.
Unless we divided ourselves up, that we covered all the areas. And we came up with
pros and cons?
Because we spent a lot of time talking about those. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we don't do anything with it.
Well, we've got 7 because we decided that although these are grouped, they're not 1. So we've got 7, and we only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
8, 9.
and 2 facilitators.
Well, so there's 9 of us.
9, okay.
So
I don't know.
Okay, can I make a suggestion? Let's start with 1. Let's give it 10 minutes, see how far we get. And then we decide if we split up into groups further or carry on with the second one. So,
or each one of us choose 2 of those groups that we think we can add value in.
Okay.
Because
each one choose 2. Like that?
And then,
should
maybe there's a group
that's
left
great.
out. Yeah.
That's cool. And the one that's left out, we just don't get to
because
it.
Because we know the least about it and we don't feel like
I like that. Okay. Does anyone object to that idea? Okay, so let me explain the idea before you say yes or no. Individually, look at the 7 touch points. Pick 2 that you like the most of the 7. Any 2 that you like. Don't tell me what they are. 2 you like the most. Okay, what you're going to get a blank piece of paper, whether it be card or paper. You're going to take stream 1 or discussion 1, whichever one you choose. And you literally list on here as many different ideas, ways, processes to solve continuum of learning. Well, we want people to build, so what does it look like? And don't just say, engage on Twitter. That's not value. So we want people to, so for example, here's a solution. Post surveys, what's in your training, could you, etc., etc. Those are, now do those work, don't those work, do you like them, don't you like them, doesn't matter. This is where it becomes difficult to solve a lot in a short amount of time. And what you'll do is once you list in point form, or a little bit longer, we're literally going to go, okay, let's have self-empowered learning. Point 1, point 2, well, you can probably write your own points up. And we literally will list all the solutions that everyone came up with. From here, we're going to spend some time, not a little bit, you're going to literally look at it and go, I like 1, 7, and 9 as the 3 key. And then that's going to have to be unpacked further in a later stage. In your companies, every company's going to have their own. Does that make sense? Because we're not going to solve in total detail in 2 hours this challenge. It's just not going to happen. It's just not enough time. Okay, you're all quite shocked. Have I spoken and agreed?
No, I just think it would be easier if we do all of the topics, and I hear what you're saying in a short space of time, but taking out, everybody shouting out 5 on each. Do you know what I'm saying? I just hear
engaging rather than writing.
Yeah. I get ideas quicker when I hear other people speaking and
what we're trying to move away from at the moment first is whether the ideas are good or bad. See, because when you say, here's my idea, people go, yes, right, but what you find is a lot of people have 5 ideas that are the same. It gets written once. So we whittle down all the potential ideas, and then you've got time to understand the idea, and then you go back into discussion. So from this, you'll go, new ideas, but someone's already come up with that idea. So we're trying to move away from the bun fights, and there's nothing, I love bun fights, but that's the only reason why we're just trying to shape. Sorry.
That's fine.
That's my perspective, but
my choice.
that's not my choice. I mean, really, please, I'm not the facilitator. I'm facilitating, but I'm not the. It's not what I say. Here's the COP. Here are the brains. It's not just me. I'm just kind of strong and telling you what I want, but it's okay. I mean, you guys can love me or hate me. Okay, so what we're going to do? Pick 2 each, or we're going to pick 2 as a group. Okay, you have to be democratic here. So 2 as a group, raise your hand.
Oh my God.
Only because I'm selfish and then I can
Me too.
2 as a group. I don't care why. 2 as a group.
Well, I can't do them on my own because I don't have any experience. I have to listen to you guys. So for me, it's more valuable.
Where are you from?
I'm from Trainiac, but I'm brand new to the industry.
Have you ever been in any training whatsoever? Like school or anything?
But I want to learn from everybody else. I'd rather hear everybody.
But don't be so selfish. We want to learn from you.
I want to be selfish.
Okay, so 4, and then the rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do it to 2 each.
Yeah. That's democratic.
Yes? Okay, so 2 each, put your hands up. 1, 2. Only 2 put your hands up. We have 3 undecided.
Understand other people's perspectives.
No, but you're welcome to change your mind. Please, this cannot stop
So
today.
you want us to take one and we talk, and then we open up the forum later for the contribution to some of the others. That's what I do. I'm just trying to understand what I'm doing.
I'm just saying that a lot of
So much.
regio has happened here,
Yes.
and so if we continue that, we will accelerate that rather than doing 15 minutes on
So
our own.
take one and do it proper.
and then open up the forum and the contribution after the session for the other ones.
Yes.
What I'm going to say is, sorry, again.
Or get to 2.
Yeah, I'm just saying again, there seems to be a bit of, no offense, what I'm picking up, a bit of a fear around doing it on my own.
I don't think it's
writing
a
things
fear.
down.
I just need time to think about it, and 15 minutes is not going to be enough time.
Absolutely. But often your top 5 thoughts are the best solutions immediate.
Maybe yours are.
Oh, you're brilliant. Why do you doubt yourself so much?
No, I don't.
So,
I'm just saying that I need time.
There seems to be, okay, so there seems to be, or resistance maybe is the better word, to, hang on, let me actually write down these 5 things, because of whatever reasons, let's rather discuss it. If we start discussing it now, we're not going to get through one point.
Why don't we then split into 2 groups, allow dialogue, but in a smaller setting?
We have spent
to try and discuss it.
15 minutes
wasting time on this.
Trying to get an approach to solving this.
Okay, so how are we going to do it? Come here,
I'm
make a
just
decision. Or make a decision.
I should make a decision.
Yes, go for it.
Let's just discuss it together at this moment. Whatever we can do, we'll do it.
Perfect.
And whatever comes out, comes out.
Perfect. Okay.
Cool.
Besides, we've been discussing solutions before now anyway.
Yes.
Some of you.
Yes.
Sorry, you're right. Okay, so we're going to sit down for this because I want to be part of the solution.
Yes.
I'm thinking, sorry, listening.
So where do we want to start?
Let's just start at the engagement.
May I start? And I'm really doing it from GIBS' perspective, in terms of the question and the touch points. And I agree with one of you said that the thing is not only the after this entire thing. Some of the comments I've made, I think not only GIBS but higher education institutions, I think why they struggle with this is the way they think about themselves and their role in the learning process. And they very much kind of think we do things to people. So where's the touch point we must do with you? They go to companies and say, outsource your MBA to me, I will do it for you. And then you never get that transfer back to the workplace. So for me, my first suggestion around this is that GIBS need to have a serious conversation in terms of what is their purpose as a higher education in the new world of work, not the past 100 years. And what is their role? And one of my suggestions around it is moving away from thinking I have to do things to people. I need to do things with people. Yeah.
Co-creation.
With the co-creation. Collaboration.
Absolutely. And flowing from that, so my background is business, and I'm running an MBA as well, is what will be the value of the learning to my organization? So it's not a learning outcome. As a business person, I don't want to hear learning outcome. I want to hear what a business outcome will be. So moving away from creating learning outcomes to actually crafting business objectives from the learning intervention.
Can I just, I'm GIBS, and I'm saying to you, yeah, it's all good. We tell our clients that, but we're charging extra because of our time. Clients aren't interested. Because the feedback, that if going back to the chat, sorry, I'm playing devil's advocate here, going, brilliant. In 500 times, when the business, when the workforce is prepared to actually pay for our time to craft our MBA for them. Because our MBA program is recognized around the world by 10 different major MBA companies, and like I said to your company, I will prove to you that my MBA is valuable. Look at the past 300 people that have come through and changed their businesses. So they go, I've ticked my box to you, but you want me to redesign it for your specific business? Yeah.
I don't think this is.
You jump into content.
Yeah.
Yes.
What we're asking you to do as an organization is not focus on the MBA and the project. We're asking you to rethink in terms of your role and your purpose as a higher education institution in terms of the challenges. So that would be
Perfect.
So it's the relevance, it's your relevance to our organization. Don't leave your MBA the way it is. It's not the content, it's your how relevant are you?
Okay. Question 2 then. I like this. In terms of my relevance to your business, I will get your people engaging post the MBA to solve your problems. How does that sound?
Yes.
Sounds
because
like
you're now doing things to me again.
Exactly.
So I'll provide a platform where your 10 people that you pay to come on my course will engage post-learning in GIBS, ongoing in your business, to take your business to the next heights. Does that sound exciting?
Say that again.
As GIBS, following this discussion, okay, so you want to know my relevance to your business. my relevance in learning, GIBS relevance in learning. When they've completed our MBA program, okay, I hope we understand the word MBA is just an example of a program. Yeah. When your guys come, we have worked out that there are 9 touch points in terms of post-engagement, because learning takes place more in the workplace than it does on our training course. So by coming to our course rather than our competitors' courses, because that's where they want to position it, we will increase the post-engagement after the training from your employee who attends our course, that they will make sure the project that they do engage with actually turns the business around. That you what you want. How does that sound?
Yeah, but that sounds okay, but it sounds not deep enough.
Okay, so what's my relevance to you then?
So your relevance to me will be, because if I'm going to pay for it,
yes,
and this is a real case that happened in one of our businesses in Nigeria. So the business leader asked me, what value, what will shift in my business if I pay for this thing?
Okay.
And I send my business people on your program.
Okay.
It's ROI.
It's ROI, essentially.
Yeah, but it's a very silly question for business to ask, and I'm sorry to say that.
But it's
the question would be, this is my business challenge, and this is what I want shift and change.
Can your program solve it?
So then, Mr. Gibbs, how do we together and collaborate and solve the kind of things? But it's typical of life.
Thank you.
What will change, or what the hell do you want to change?
But I think that's the position of GIBS to
but
say.
But that's the position he's talking to, the one with GIBS. It's this.
So what will you, what business challenges would you want us to solve?
Correct.
And that can form special projects for the people on the program.
But now what happens is, that's all fine, because some forward-thinking business already do that. Okay? So I sit down with you now, I go, oh no, give us your problem. Tell us what you want change. Tell us. Because I know that my strategy part of my program will help design a strategy that's going to solve that for you. And you're going to go, lovely. But I only get 12% of post-course projects completed within GIBS. So if every 100 students come, only 12 people do the strategies. But you probably wouldn't ask me how many people do the strategy. If you did, I'd probably lie. I'm not saying the GIBS does, because the value to you is I get a strategy. If the person does this. So now GIBS' value proposition doesn't just become the fact of I'm offering you a nice MBA. GIBS' value proposition becomes, you know what, not only do you give us your problems that your guys are going to solve, but we touch them 7 times through the program. So in our instructional design, in the philosophy of what we do, this is how we've built. In our systems thinking, this is how, so our program is not about 5 days in our classroom, our program is about them applying in your business, and for that, and now GIBS is offering a value proposition to you based on the touch points that touch a person's learning, pre, during, post, informal, formal, in a group, out of a group. Talking about the purpose of GIBS is not to teach you how to get an MBA. The purpose of GIBS is to teach your business how to solve problems post GIBS. How does that sound?
It sounds okay, and I don't want this to be a pattern because I'm believing.
No, but the question, I believe the question.
But it leads to another question. So it leads to another question, another problem GIBS need to solve. It will be. Then GIBS need to tell me as a business person what GIBS' responsibility will be in delivering value, what the learner's responsibility will be in delivering value, and what the business responsibility will be in delivering value. This, absolutely.
Can I ask you a question then? Sorry, because this is really, come on, we need to think here.
I'm integrating.
Does someone like GIBS then position the value based on these touch points?
No. GIBS approaches, sorry,
no, we need
I would like to know from GIBS, what is your personalized learning centered approach that integrates your solution with my business problem? That when I talk ROI, I'm not just talking about outcomes achieved. I couldn't care if 10 people finish this course. What problems in my business setup will be
absolutely
integrated?
And why should there be a strategy session after I've done my MBA, and why can't it be part of
plus? That's it. Plus another thing. Touch points are, it's fine to say I'm going to have so many times, but people are individuals. So how do you individualize the activities or the touch points?
The way of learning.
So, no, not even the way of learning, because learning is an internal process.
Yeah.
You don't know whether I'm learning if you touch me 10 times.
Yes.
If you touch you 1 million times.
Yeah, you don't know if I'm learning.
Yes.
Okay. So how are you going to approach the learning process so that it is personalized and centered on my individual needs? I've got 10 learners, they've got different issues in the workplace. So how do you tie your learning program to the performance outputs that I want?
So if I'm GIBS, can I pose the question? We try, because that's the way I try to answer that question, we try not to link it, the individual outputs to your business, but rather the individual person. Because they're the ones who have to learn and apply it in your business. So we can, for example, take a Vodacom, which is a hugely telecommunications, and we put everything on telecommunications. It's a silly example, but this person doesn't learn it. So as a company, as a learning institution, or as a partner, or what we look for is how the individual best is encouraged to learn their way for your business.
So you're talking learner-centered design?
I think so, yes.
And self-paced learning?
Perhaps, yes. But then comes back to the next question, self-paced learning, or how long did it take to learn? Then.
So we're already bounding on the second part, learning as well.
Okay.
I think what we've done now, to a large extent, is unpack what GIBS will position to the business.
The purpose.
The purpose. Yeah. And what that engagement process will look like.
Okay. Articulating
what value the business will get.
Perceived value.
Perceived value. Yeah. What we've not done is positioning from the perspective of the learner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Learner-centered design. How much effort are you going to put in, and what interventions are you putting into place to find out who I am in this business context, to find out what is it that I'm grappling with, regardless of your program?
Okay, so I'll go, because of the touch points that we have in the pre-engagement 3 touch points: the learner, the learning context, and the why. So as a company, as GIBS, as your partner, we, in terms of understanding the learner before they come on our MBA program, we start engaging with the learner through big data, through which web pages they surf on, through surveys. So I don't know, surveys would never work. Actually, I don't believe in personally, Darren. But does that start answering a question? Then I say to the business, but then what do you do when 8 of the 10 learners don't want to come to the program because it doesn't talk back to what they need? What are you going to do, Mr. Business, then?
I want to know how are you going to analyze my learners to determine what exactly their needs are, so that you can pinpoint.
What they need to go.
This entire program, Corné, you need to focus on this, and this is going to help you most. That's learning personalization, big data, whatever. Yeah. Plus, now you have a multi-generational workplace.
Absolutely.
Different ways of learning.
My question would be, is where does the responsibility lie? And I know that GIBS are selling a product.
Yeah.
But is that not organization's responsibility to identify what learning is needed? And GIBS will then say, okay, well then we can put this program together for those needs. It's not GIBS' responsibility to identify that or do a learning analysis on those particular people.
Remember, GIBS is selling to 2 different people, 2 different audiences. So if I'm the person, I come with my problem to this is what I want solved, so I can complete this, and I know exactly what I need from the program. Sure. When it's the business is investing money in an individual who might be at risk to leave once they've actually got their MBA and find a better position. So for them, the only benefit of paying for an MBA is to actually get a problem solved during that MBA.
Absolutely, thank you. Which means I'm looking for integrative learning. So while you're engaging in these learning interventions, how does that translate into immediate application in the workplace?
I'll tell you what another university is doing with another institution.
Go for it.
I won't mention any names, and this is what I've heard. Okay, so what they've done is they're also doing a master's in this organization. But what they've done is they've actually looked at issues within the organization and said, these are going to be your master's thesis during the process of development of us giving you this MBA. But yes, it's learner-centered on an issue. Not for me, specifically.
So, can I make a suggestion? If I'm GIBS, the purpose then of GIBS, back to the question you asked earlier, what is the purpose? Is the purpose of GIBS to provide learning, Or was the purpose of GIBS to provide the
solution?
The platform, maybe a solution, but the platform where non-learning individuals can also solve the business problem. So, I'm not an MBA student. My mentor calls me an ideas factory. That's what my mentor calls me. So I could sit and I could look at your company in Nigeria right now because I'm on the L&D COP. And instead of having someone interview me to get through an interview, through GIBS, because I like GIBS as Darren, not for any other reason, I can start getting involved in your MBA for the company. Now people go, IP, I'm afraid of my strategy. Everyone has the same strategy as you, and there's only 10 mining styles that you can do. So, but potentially GIBS's purpose then is to provide a platform where all professionals can solve your company's number one problem, which is exactly what this is. Maybe that's the shift in terms of touchpoint. So when I've done my MBA, not only can I coach someone else on being an MBA, I can also get involved in other people's MBA theses, theses, whatever the word is. So because I've learned how MBAs work, but then the entire marketing structure needs to shift.
What we're asking of GIBS to do, and that's what I'm going back to the purpose, you need to be able to do this faster.
Yeah.
We can't have a 12-month program for leadership. Your second thing that you're doing, your educational systems is so ingrained for the past 100 years. And I know they're trying, and that's one of the challenges. You're not preparing leaders that are able to deal with the changing complexities.
It's good.
So it's not about the follow-up after the program. You think program, so I get you're selling a product. What we're asking you to do is to collaborate with us as business to say, how do we do this differently? Faster? Because the dilemma we hear is that we don't learn fast enough to deal with the complexities of business. So it gives you position yourself in the executive education kind of field. So the fact that you now put my people on a 6-month program and you take them out of the workplace 3 or 4 times a day. It's not about the follow-up after the program touch points. We're asking you to collaborate with us on this, and that's why I loved what you guys did. Let's look at all the engagement. How do we do it faster, quicker, and increase complexity?
May I add to that? There's a departure from essential embedded knowledge, if you want to use that word, from technical expertise to critical thinking. Because I have a person in procurement who does an MBA, one who sits in an operational branch, and one who's in learning and development. Okay, different context. So it should not be program-based, like you say. It's problem-based, but accelerated learning, because each of them faces different situations. So what context, so your follow on here is following on to the learning, not follow up on the program. Because every time that you have an interaction with the learner, every touch point is a learning interaction, yes? So it's not about the follow up or the follow on or feedback on the program. If I have to go through a program and then you say to me, I'm going to have 10 times contact with you, I might have stuffed up my learning way in week 1, and now you want to figure it out. It's a mess. So rather, how do you integrate informal learning? And what is the platform that you're going to provide so that my learning happens? If I achieve the checklist for the program, well done.
And it's bringing GIBS into that business. So rather than sending your person to GIBS.
Exactly what I was thinking is that GIBS has to change their whole focus and move into the business rather than having the business look at them. So almost, I was thinking something that you said was, why don't you just do an MBA on real life? Screw the program. And what you need to do is GIBS has to come into the organization and say, let's do the MBA on what you're currently doing on your current business.
Bring the science to the table.
Yes, but don't change it. See, for me, the logic there says, to get your MBA, that's what you have to prove to me. You have to read 10 books on anything.
But why?
Because right now, the way the education is structured in the world, the last 100 years, says that you have to write an exam at the end to pass. If GIBS is prepared to dump the written exam,
I'm saying that.
Yeah, but then they say, but there still has to be a measurement around, prove to me you did a strategy, and prove to me you rolled it out, which is course 1 of the MBA.
And also from MBA point of view, so MBA is supposed to be international.
Yes.
with the mindset.
Yes.
And you need to be on the same platform with any other MBA anywhere in the world. So you still have to do a lot of reading, research of the classes anyway. So if you do, you can do a PhD research topic and be in your organization. But when it comes to MBA, the way it's structured and the way it's plateaued across board is there's certain knowledge that must be consistent across board for MBA. But I get what you're saying in terms of relevance to the workplace. There must be certain components of that MBA if it's the organization paying for it and sending people for it. It must be very relevant to the business the organization is into. So you can't do your case studies on pharmaceuticals, whereas I'm in banking, I'm in the banking industry. But the other parts to it, however, is let's say GIBS has been able to answer the business questions. So yes, they will deliver value to the business. To the learner is, how do we secure learners' commitment to the whole process? So you're putting me through a 12-month program. And yes, I'm going to get MBA, whatever it's called. But eventually, this MBA will add value to the business. What does it need for me? And I think what learners are beginning to ask right now, for them to commit to the entire learning value chain is, what does it need for me? So GIBS must be able to answer that question. What is the need for the organization? Fine.
But what's the need for the
learner itself?
Which they need to ask about.
May I jump quickly to instructional systems design? In the analysis phase, where you look at your target audience and the context, you also look at what's in it for me. How do you sell it to the learner, not the organization? But I want to touch on something else. So while there's contextual relevance to the organization, if you present a learning program that is not contextual to where the person has to survive and earn money from, okay, you're missing the point in any case. So if the program, in its relevance, addresses the personalized learning needs of an individual, the learner is already growing. Now, in terms of acceleration, if you do proper, not RPL, recognition of prior learning is something for credit purposes or for progression in programs. I'm talking about recognition of prior knowledge. So if I'm at this point, I've been in business, I'm not me universally speaking now, as an incumbent MBA candidate. I've been doing strategies for 10 years. Why on earth do I have to do the entire program? Put me through a prior knowledge process, and you figure, okay, all I need to do is just do the assessment.
But see, what it comes down to, we call it as recognition of current competence rather than knowledge, because knowledge is something and you can rely on knowledge. Here's the research. Google the answers, what have you, but prove to me that you can do strategy and apply it. You know, you're a small SME, you're 3 people in your business. So instead of, but now see, this comes back to, it all comes back to the thing of a good assessment process.
Yes.
So if I'm going to measure strategy, what are the 5 key points? So 1, did you use at least 3 different strategic underlying theories? Prove to me you did it. Well, when I did my strategy, I used step and stop, and that's from this guy. I did this from Michael Porter. Whether I've read the books or not is irrelevant. I can prove that I've used 3 theories around strategy, because GIBS wants me to use 10. Pick how many people you want me to read. I'm a researcher, Darren. I'm a researcher. I'm always on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Google. I'm always researching. I'm always getting knowledge from everywhere and touching on strategies from everything. Now I come to GIBS, and if GIBS had to approach me and say, Darren, value to your business, I'd be, I don't want my guys reading about all 5 strategists, because they have no value to my business. They are pharmaceutical strategists. I'm in telecoms. We have 35 different types of strategists. The assessment criteria says, study 5. Pick 5, study 5. But prove to me that you can do a strategy. Now your assessments, you stay within the bounds of the international MBA program.
Yes.
You stay within the bounds. Don't move from that. The assessment criteria shifts slightly. Now, what's in it for the learner? Sure, I can do a 3-month project in 4 days. I can get the credits, whatever we want to use, for my MBA from GIBS within 4 days. Because I've got, and let's be honest, you have to have experiential learning. You have to have, what do they call it? They call it notional hours of learning. Well, I've been in business for 15 years. How many notional hours do you want? I've got 15 years of notional hours behind me for me to take 4 days to do a 3-month project because I have, fresh out of university. No, but sit down and study.
Yeah. But it talks to the motivation as well.
Yes.
It's the motivation to get this qualification because it's
Why?
great to have an MBA behind my name.
Yeah.
Or am I doing this because, I've been on, I often say this to people when they say, oh, I've been on time management, I've been on trainer.
Yeah.
I'll go on it again, even if I've been training for 2 years, because maybe there's something else I'm going to learn from it. So it depends on what the motivation is.
Brilliant.
So what is the motivation in that case?
It's the intrinsic that
It's
you
the additional learning.
And that's what I'm thinking. It's the in-time learning, it's the what am I going to get out of this that I can go and use that.
Which comes down
may I
to
position this? What would be most attractive to you? Do you want to, you're interested in going on another restructured training program, trainer. And you've been doing it for 20 years. You look at the syllabus and you see until the 5 days, there's only half a day that you really need to. That flexibility to say, fine, you know what, come and do half day and it's fine. That's learner-centered design. To say, if you have all the other stuff, and if you want the credits for it, the formal accreditation, then you know what, there's an assessment process. Skip all the instruction, do the assessment, and whatever might be lacking. Is your just-in-time learning.
But for me then the learning is about content and not about experience as well, because there's also that balance between going and engaging with other people and actually even covering topics that I'm very, very competent in or understand or do well, but not having the experience of the learning.
But see, that was your choice to say, okay, instead of just the half day of the
meet, I'm going to go to the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll do all of it.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up. Guys and girls, this is freaking awesome. I think Letitia's just saying this is not necessarily a new discussion, and I think it's going to carry on for a long time, because you have to break an educational mold that started in the late 1700s. Literally, I've done research recently on it in terms of what I do. Okay, what I want to do, thank you. First of all, I just want to, as a facilitator and a CLP member, the next CLP will run in May. If you want to do what I've just done, please, I beg you, just let us know, and you can facilitate the next one, because
drink someone else's coffee.
You can drink someone else's coffee if you want to. I'll leave mine. I drank her coffee on mistake. Then she said it was great. She said it was mine. Thank you.
And then I noticed I wasn't.
There's my coffee there. I wasn't going to tell her that. Okay, so first things first. I think this has been valuable. I think there are 7 touch points where the right one is irrelevant. What Letitia's going to do now is she's going to start pulling these together in terms of answering that question in the first phase. If you seriously brilliant questions about how ROI, we all just kicked it out, but training needs to show ROI. It's a big problem with training when people don't trust us because we don't show ROI. So, I'm making my business to show ROI with my clients, but that is in the mind of the client. ROI to this client is about rands and cents. ROI to that client is about how many books I read. No one's right, no one's wrong. This is going to be posted onto the COP site. There's already a stream on it, and it's called GIBS Solution. So if you go onto bloomfire.lndcop.com, to that site, if you can't find it, Google it. When you get onto it, there you'll see it says GIBS Solution. We're going to start posting this discussion onto that solution and read through some of the comments that have already happened and disagree and agree on them. Letitia will pull the paper together. Braden will start doing some interviews with me. Letitia now just asking for a bit more clarification. And then, you know what? Let's see where the solutions come out. And what I think I will do is I'll chat to Sean within 6 months' time to see if they've actually applied any of this. Because I don't think it's going to need to. I don't think they haven't already worked on a lot of this already in terms of GIBS. Let's figure it out. Yeah, but let's work it out and see what GIBS come up with, and then we can at least show value from the COP going, GIBS, look what you posted. This is what everyone has said. Here the papers come out. What changes have you made? And I'm happy to ask difficult questions. Whatever. I do well. Brent does it very well as well. So, okay.
He has a very good IQ.
So, yeah. I don't know how to do that. I need to spend more time. So, okay. Thank you for this. I think this has been very valuable. I think I've learned a lot as well, whatever that means. Please engage. Let us know. And put your hand up for the next one. We would love for you guys. That's what the COP, who's we? We are us. If you don't drive this, it's not going to drive itself. So, and we're okay with that. So thank you for that. Do you guys want to say anything else?
No, I just think the dialogue is so valuable, and I think as learning and development passionate people, it's very difficult actually to just look at the question and only deal with that, because I think it goes deeper than that. So for me, the dialogue has been very valuable. I've had personal take out of this, learning from you guys as well. So I'm sure we all have something to take away. So thank you.
You guys